Welcome to Political Beatdown and welcome back, Michael Cohen. This isn't a special edition. This is Michael Cohen is back on Political Beatdown, back to our regularly scheduled programming here on the Midas Touch Network. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back, Michael Cohen. Great. I'm even singing for you at the beginning. How the heck are you doing, Michael Cohen?
It's a great question. I haven't figured it out yet. Today I was go over to my usual watering hole in the morning, to meet up with a bunch of friends, and we were just having our general coffee, and everybody asked me the same question: how are you holding up? And the truth is, I don't know yet. Sleep is still, remember that I've been on this journey for 6 long years, troubling 6 long years. So just because we now have 34 out of 34 guilty convictions doesn't mean that it's over. It might be over in terms of the court, but it's not like you just turn around and you ripped your shirt. So you take the shirt off and you throw it in the garbage and you go get a new one. It doesn't really work like that. You still have all of your triggers. You still have all of the anxiety that's there. It's trying to keep myself busy. So I'll let you know when I figure it all out. I just don't really have an answer. It's crazy. I thought that I'd wake up, on that Tuesday, right? And I would feel differently. It's almost like when you go from your 29 to 30 or 39 to 40 or 49 to 50, right? It's hard to explain, but it's going to take some time for me to come back.
Well, now what all of the MAGA people are saying is that everything was rigged. The judge was rigged. The jury was rigged. Everything was rigged. And they're now even starting to say the appeals process, that's rigged. And you just go back and look, you know this better than anyone about Donald Trump, right? His entire history of failure or criminality is when he loses, he always says something is rigged. There's that famous moment, of course, during the debate with Hillary Clinton, where she said, you claim the Iowa and Wisconsin primaries were rigged. You claim the Emmys were rigged. And, it's, funny if it's not in the context of our democracy and leadership and somebody making life and death decisions with real impacts over our country and the world. And, she gave that warning in 2016. And, here we're seeing it again. And when you see people too, like Todd Blanche, who spent 21 hours or so, your whole testimony was 21 hours, but he spent many days on the process.
Half of it was him.
Yeah. So he's out there now and his reputation is just totally destroyed at this point.
Shit.
I mean, and so he's going on any network that listens.
He shit on his reputation. Let's just call it what it is.
And so here he is in a recent interview where he says that he's asked a very basic question, right? Did Donald Trump get a fair process here? Which of course he did, right? There was a grand jury that indicted. Donald Trump's lawyers were involved in the jury selection. There was over about 7 weeks of trial, 5 weeks where evidence was received, about 12 hours of jury deliberations. Then there was a unanimous jury. That's our process. The crimes were committed in New York. That's why they were brought where the crimes took place. But let me show you what Todd Blanche said. Then I want to get your reaction to it, Michael Cohen. Let's play that clip.
Did your client get a fair trial?
I mean, no, I don't think so. I mean, we've been saying for over a year that we couldn't get a fair trial in Manhattan. We couldn't get a fair trial with the judge, and it played out in lots of ways exactly as we expected.
Truly amazing, right? First of all, look who he's talking to. Do you really take Jesse Waters and Fox News seriously? Jesse Waters is the next version of fucker Carlson, plain and simple. Todd Blanche, as we need to all reference him as, he is the sloat. You know, the funny thing with Trump and with Blanche and with this whole group of misfits, they like to come up with acronyms. So we developed one ourselves. Todd Blanche is the sloat, the stupidest lawyer of all time. I mean, this guy, let me just give you a quick, for instance. He's like the male version of Alina Habba. Do you guys remember when Donald was bitching and complaining, right? Why? Because he ran out of preemptory challenges. He was so angry at Todd because he thought that he had unlimited challenges. Todd didn't even do what every lawyer does who's on trial, that doing preemptory challenge. You put a piece of paper down and you mark off the number of challenges that you use. You don't get unlimited, you get 10. But Trump, in his own mind, is, I'm allowed to have as many as I want. No, you're not. Blanche didn't even keep track of it. The same way that Habba Dabba Baba Shmaba didn't even check off the box for a jury trial. And she shit that one up. Meanwhile, Blanche shit this one up. And here's the worst part about somebody like Todd Blanche going on Fox News. He's already shit his own reputation. Here's what I know of him. He's not honest with his client. And it's very hard. That part I don't fault him on, though in a case like this, you need to be extremely honest with the client. What he's doing right now by going on Fox and saying, you know, the same shit over and over again, the Trump message, stay on message, you can't get a fair trial, it's already in the bag, blah, 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 right? What he's doing is Blanche is keeping Trump as calm as he possibly can be with wrong information. And it's the same wrong information, my friends, that led up to the bad strategy that Todd Blanche employed in this case that ultimately resulted in 34 out of 34 guilty verdicts. Plain and simple.
There's the photo right there that the Biden-Harris campaign posted. And they're just saying, look, it is important that everybody know that Donald Trump got a fair process, and he is a convicted felon, and he is someone who has been adjudicated to have engaged in a sexual assault. He's someone who has adjudicated to engaged in a massive civil fraud. And it's important that we don't mince words. That is who is the leader right now of the Republican Party, and they're all in on it. The MAGA Republicans saying, oh, we may do our convention from prison, and corporate media almost treating that like it's somehow like a normal thing. You're going to do your convention from prison. There's nothing normal about his behavior. There's nothing normal about how he behaved outside the courtroom, inside the courtroom, afterwards. I mean, even the mafia, you know, in the way they behave at criminal trials. I mean, the way Donald Trump acted, so juvenile and like a little fascist baby. It was just it's a very strange thing. And I think, Michael Cohen, that a few things have happened. You know, obviously the fact that Donald Trump is a convicted felon carries with it serious implications. But I also think it was an event that blew up the corporate media narrative, where they couldn't keep hiding their best kept secret of what a maniac he is, which they always try in their both sidesism to normalize. So the American people were served a bunch of lies, not just, of course, by Fox and right-wing media, but by corporate media, that this was somehow a normal race and a normal event. And you had someone who's liberal and someone who's conservative. And this is just like Obama McCain, right? Or Obama Romney, or you go back to, you know, George W. Bush, Al Gore, or George W. Bush Kerry. This is just politics. It isn't. And I think one of the things, I want to get your take about it, but when every paper in the country has the headline guilty, convicted felon, and it's undisputed, sure, you have the MAGA cult, but outside of the MAGA cult, people in our country, I think by and large, still respect our jury system and our justice system. And the justice system went through its normal process and he was convicted. So I think now also people are paying attention and people are now seeing him speak like he did on Friday and over the weekend and saying, wait a minute. He's saying that the insurrectionists are hostages and should be freed. He's bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade. He's saying people are paying attention now because of this as well. You know, I think they should have been paying attention before and watching Beatdown, but they're paying attention now, Michael Cohen.
Well, fortunately, they have an outlet like Political Beatdown. Fortunately, they have an outlet like the Midas Touch Network or, you know, my Mea Culpa podcast, where you can now actually, and by the way, the new one is dropping any day now. I have Norm Eisen on, who I thought would be an absolute perfect first guest because he was there in the courtroom every single day. Every single day, you know, he was in the courtroom. But I want to go back and talk to you. First of all, in that picture of Trump, is it me? Or, you know, does he really not look well in that picture? You know, there's something that's really looking very off there. I can't figure out what's going on, but there's something definitely going on there. Yeah, he just doesn't look, you know, healthy or normal to me. But he's becoming more and more unhinged. You know, yesterday I did MSNBC with Joy Reid, and she asked me a really great question. How do you think Donald Trump is handling the fact that he is now looking at some form of prison time? He is a convicted felon, that a jury of his peers, 12, a cross-section of New York, of male, female, you know, white collar, blue collar, black, white, brown, you name it, all there on that jury, unanimously in 9 hours determined that he was guilty, that they acknowledged my narrative and that the story that I have been telling for 6 years was true. Oh, that's actually not a bad picture. That's probably one of the few that's not atrocious. My thoughts here, as I was asked that question, is only because Donald Trump is kind of like he's like a donkey, right, with a carrot in front of its nose. He can only see what's directly in front of him. When you have now, what does he have till the 11th? So that's you know, what do you have? 5 weeks left, give or take. Right now, he sees 5 weeks as an eternity because he has so many other things that are preoccupying his mind. But when he starts getting down to the 14-day and then to the 7-day, watch how unhinged he becomes. He's going to be so unhinged, he's going to make that press conference the other day look like, you know, like a Harvard debate. I mean, it's going to be absolutely nuts. It's going to be nuts. He's going to go absolutely batshit crazy. You're going to hear every second of the day. You're going to start seeing it on TikTok. You're going to start seeing it on Instagram, on all forms of social media. Donald screaming that this entire system is designed in order to prevent me, your favorite president, from beating Joe Biden at the polls because I'm beating him in every single poll. And, you know, I've raised in May $151 million. Let me turn around and start by saying bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on that. You see, he knows that the reporting doesn't have to come around for another 3 months. So he's going to lie and try to get more money from people. Now, do I think that he raised a ton of money? Yes. Yes, but not from the small dollar donations that he's claiming. He got money from like Sheldon Adelson's wife or John Paulson or, you know, any Steve Witkoff, any one of these sycophantic assholes that are pouring money into him because it benefits them. They use him like the useful idiot that he is. Plain and simple. They want something out of him, each and every one of them. You know, they want to be the next Secretary of the Treasury. They want to be an ambassador. They want to be whatever the fuck they want to be. They are going to go ahead and use him because he is buyable. You can purchase Donald Trump based upon what you give today. All you need to do is offer the carrot, put the money in front of him. So somebody like Sheldon Adelson's wife, Dr. Adelson, now that Sheldon is deceased, she's worth what, 22, 24, 25 billion dollars? Who cares how much money that you give? So if she gave him $50 million, big shit, how is it going to change her life at all? The answer is it's not. And by the time that the reporting period comes to fruition, she'll have made that money back in interest alone. That's the power of this kind of billionaire class. That's the danger of this billionaire class. And it's something that we, the average person, we have to ensure, because regardless of how much money you have, your one vote is equal to their one vote. So we have to make sure that that vote that we have is cast in the right direction, plain and simple.
Michael Cohen, of course, your show is called Mea Culpa, and I think you and I and we, the Brigaders, believe in people's abilities to have their mea culpa moment. And I think it's interesting that Joe Tacopina, Donald Trump's former lawyer who quit the trial team after the first E. Jean Carroll trial loss. He wasn't representing Trump on the second E. Jean Carroll. He quit right before the criminal trial started. And he recently, over the weekend, went on Al Sharpton's show. And he wanted to be clear. You can say what you want about the trial. It was not rigged. That Donald Trump got a fair process. The jury deliberated, and it is not rigged. And I think that's something that, look, we've been very critical of Tacopina in the past when he was serving less as a defense lawyer and more as a tool of destruction for our democracy. He fell into that obvious trap that should be so clear that you've been warning lawyers against. But here he is over the weekend. And in this clip, he, first is very critical of Tim Scott and other Republicans for their attempts to destroy our judicial system. And then he shares his own views. So we could share the whole clip right here. And then I want to get your response to this because you have been very critical of him in the past. Let's play it.
They might have a spring today, but it's not going to last very long because what happened in New York is a travesty of justice. Everybody knows it.
I can't believe the hoax, this sham, this absolute injustice justice system, weaponizing the justice system of the United States of America against a political opponent. Un-American. Joe Biden, you're fired.
I do believe the Supreme Court should step in. Obviously, this is totally unprecedented, and it's dangerous to our system. This will be overturned, guys. There's no question about it. It's just going to take some time.
What are your thoughts on what you just heard, Joe? And as I mentioned, they're just a few of the many of the Republican leaders.
Yeah, when I hear, like, Tim Scott is someone I used to respect, but I sort of lost a lot of respect from what I just heard because he sounded so uneducated, unintelligent, and made no sense at all. To say that, look, I understand there's a political motivation to a lot of what's going on in our country today. And everyone wants to sort of paint the broad brush and, this is a political vendetta and then weaponization of the justice system. This is a state case. This is different than the Jack Smith cases, okay? This is not a federal prosecution. Joe Biden or anyone from his Justice Department have absolutely zero to do with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. They have no jurisdiction over him. They have no contacts with him. They have no control, certainly, over him. So to say that Joe Biden brought this case is one of the most ridiculous things I've heard. We know that's not the case. And even Trump's lawyers know that's not the case.
Now, wait right there, because as you say, even Trump's lawyers know that's the case. You were attorney with Trump. You were on Trump's case early and got off the case. So you're speaking as one that knew as you signed into work for Trump, which you explained on this show why, and you explained why you got out, that this had nothing to do with Joe Biden or any of the federal government trying to lean in on Donald Trump.
The federal government has no input on the Manhattan District Attorney. It's a state prosecution.
Michael Cohen, what's your reaction to Donald Trump's former lawyer, Joe Tacopina's somewhat mea culpa there?
First of all, good for Rev. Good for Rev for asking the tough question and for actually having Tacopina on the show. And good for Tacopina for coming up with his own mea culpa. Personally, I would have liked to have heard even more from him. I would have liked to have heard, some of the things that, he knows that Donald wanted to do that validates the points that he's making. And it could be a issue, and I get it, of attorney-client privilege. So I fully get that. However, Trump is so deranged in what he's saying that I don't know whether or not that this would rise to a violation where Tacopina, who has been attacked by Trump also as being disloyal, has the right to defend his name and his reputation. Because rest assured, if you don't, it gets muddied up very, very quickly. So good for Joe in that case in coming clean and acknowledging that our Justice Department under the Biden administration has not been weaponized, is not corrupt. Now, I want to be very clear about something I also said the other day on Joy Reid. The real issue here is not the Biden administration's weaponization of the Justice Department. You see, Donald believes that everyone out there is as corrupt and as he is. All right. He believes that everyone is as corrupt as he is. And he knows exactly what he did with former Attorney General Bill Barr in their weaponization of the Justice Department against me when they went ahead and they unconstitutionally remanded me back to Otisville off of a counterfeit fraudulent document that they prepared specifically for me. It had no federal identifiable numbers to it. It was not a federal location monitoring agreement. It violated my First Amendment constitutional rights. And when they asked me to sign it, and I wouldn't, it's not even a legitimate document, they had the marshals waiting for me, handcuffed, shackled, and then returned me to Otisville until, fortunately, my lawyer, Danya Perry, was able to file a habeas petition that took 15 days, before which Judge Federal Court, Southern District of New York, Alvin K. Hellerstein, federal court judge, turned around and called it retaliation by the president and the attorney general to silence a critic. Does any of this not sound familiar in terms of what Trump is saying about the Biden administration? This is deflection. Or as Trump would say, it's deflection. Deflection. All right, that's what he's doing. He's deflecting what he did to me, believing that everyone is as corrupt as he is, so that therefore, since he did it to me through his attorney general, through his Justice Department, that's what Biden is doing. He's trying to deflect upon this administration, despite the fact there's absolutely not just that there's no proof, it's insane.
Michael Cohen, you testified for 21 hours. You probably have testified in more proceedings in our country for longer durations than almost any American.
Can somebody check that out and see if I get, at least from Guinness Book of World Records, right? I would like to get a plaque that says, I testified before 7 congressional committees, right? New York AG, now the Manhattan District Attorney. Can somebody check it out? Maybe we need to go to Guinness Book of World Records and see if I can't get in there.
Yeah, and Donald Trump.
I can't do the hula hoop. My back is really bad these days.
We don't want to see you do the hula hoop, Michael Cohen. Just join me on Political Beatdown on a regular basis, and I think everyone will be quite happy. But of course, Donald Trump didn't testify at the criminal trial. You and I both said there was zero chance he was going to testify. Let me show you here, though, what his lawyer, Todd Blanche, said in a recent interview when he was asked on CNN, why did Donald Trump not take the stand? And here's what Trump's lawyer had to say. Let's play it.
Why did Donald Trump not ultimately take the stand here?
Well, that's a very personal question to him and to me, honestly. And it's a very difficult question. Of course, he wanted to testify. And I don't say that because that's what he has said. He wanted to get his story out. I think the judge had made some decisions before the trial or the day of the trial started about what would be allowed to be asked of him by the prosecutors if he took the stand. And some of those questions were really complicated to answer because there's still appeals going on. And so there's a lot of decision points that go into whether somebody testifies. Ultimately, it's his decision, and he listened to us, and he relied on our counsel, and he reached a decision that he thought was right, which I very much agreed with.
So that means your counsel was for him to not take the stand.
I'm not going to tell you what my counsel was.
Well, you said he relied on counsel and he went with that decision and he didn't take the stand.
But ultimately, it was his decision, and I never say, and I think colleagues and folks that you have on here hopefully agree with me. I never say to somebody, "Don't take the stand." Right? That's their decision, and that's a decision that they have to make. But I want them to have They want them to know what will happen on the good and the bad if they do take the stand.
So no regrets on him not taking the stand?
Look, the verdict came down a couple hours ago. I don't know if I have any regrets about anything yet. I'm still thinking things through, and I think so is he, and so are everybody else around him. But at this point, I don't think that there was a conviction because he did not take the stand.
By the way, you know who he reminds me of, Michael Cohen? The weatherman from Anchorman, the Steve Carell character.
Oh my God, remember? Yeah. Right, of course.
He's exact. I don't know if we have an image of that. We'll pull it up in a little bit. But what do you make
Brock,
of that?
Wasn't his name something like Brock? Remember? He was like, and where did you get that trident from? Remember, he threw a trident into someone's chest. He goes, I don't know. Loud noises.
There he is. Exactly. I don't know why he didn't testify. I don't know.
I'll tell you why. First and foremost, Todd Blanche is a sloat. And second, the reason Donald didn't take the stand, because he was scared shitless to take the stand. First question out of the box. You have an affair with Stormy Daniels? Just ask the question. Were you in the room in August of 2015 with Michael Cohen and David Pecker? Right? Did you hatch the scheme within which to catch and kill stories, whatever you want to call it, right? That would harm you, and to plant stories that would be beneficial to you and detrimental to your opponents? Did you do all of this stuff, right? Did you have an affair with Karen McDougal? Did Michael Cohen sit down with you on a dozen or 2 dozen or 3 dozen occasions and talk to you about what needs to be done regarding an NDA? I mean, you can't ask these questions of somebody like Trump. See, Blanche, who the sloat, right, the stupidest lawyer of all time, should have said, there's no way that we can allow Donald Trump to take the stand. It would actually be legal malpractice for us not to say to him, don't take the stand. Most defendants do not take the stand because, and as Donald turned around and said, so that's how we know. That's how we know that this conversation certainly came up when he said, if I say the slightest thing wrong, they'll get me on perjury. And so, no, not the slightest thing wrong, you bullshit and a half artist. All right? When you fucking lie on the stand, like you did even in the Engoron case, the New York Attorney General case, when Judge Engoron demanded you take the stand and asked you point blank, who were you talking about when you went out right before you went out and you spoke to the press? Who were you talking about? Were you talking about my law clerk? Oh, no. I was talking about Michael Cohen. And he goes, what? He goes, yeah, I was talking about Michael Cohen. They're all sitting there scratching their head. Really? Yeah. And then he had the lawyers lie too, right? And so Judge Engoron, in his 93-page decision, turned around and said that Donald Trump lacked credibility, even for that one very, very specific question. For that one you see, he refuses to take accountability for his actions. He refuses to accept responsibility for the diarrhea of his mouth because he knew that he would be violating the gag order by doing that. That's who he is.
Michael Cohen, we're going to be having an exclusive Zoom meeting with our Beatdown Patreon members. And we're going to try to do it at a time where we can hopefully get the most audience to show up there. So we're going to do it tomorrow morning. We're going to do it at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So 10 a.m. Eastern time, and hopefully that allows some of our international audience, where often it's a little bit too late for them to join these after shows. So we try to time this one to make sure everybody can meet Michael Cohen who wants to meet Michael Cohen. Cohen is free to discuss the trial now. You can ask him any question that you want, and we'll do our best to try to answer as many as we can. This is an exclusive opportunity only available on our Patreon. So please subscribe to our Patreon right now if you want to meet Michael Cohen tomorrow for the first time after the Trump criminal trial, where Donald Trump was convicted on all 34 felony counts, and get to ask Michael Cohen a question. Also,
I mean, who doesn't want to meet a felon? I mean, you know, it's not every day on Patreon you get to meet a felon, a real life hard knocks felon.
You get to meet a real life American hero. Patreon.com/political beatdown. It also helps grow this independent media platform. We don't have outside investors. So the way we continue to grow, and I think you've seen our growth, is from our pro-democracy sponsors. And one of the other ways is patreon.com/political beatdown. So you'll help keep growing the show, and you'll get to meet Michael Cohen. So right now, go to patreon.com/political beatdown, join. And then later today, we'll give the secret link of when we will be starting that exclusive Zoom meeting tomorrow. That would be Wednesday, June 5th, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Let's go to some of those pro-democracy sponsors, but then you and I, Cohen, still have a lot to discuss as we welcome Michael Cohen back on Political Beatdown.
As you know, I'm a video editor, podcaster, and co-founder of the Midas Touch Network. We're all doing a lot. Living a more heart-healthy life fuels everything you do. Introducing 3-in-1 blood pressure support plus CoQ10 from Super Beats Heart Chews Advanced. Paired with a healthy lifestyle, the grapeseed extract in Super Beats is clinically shown to be nearly 2 times more effective at promoting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. New Super Beats Heart Chews Advanced supports healthy CoQ10 level, an important nutrient for heart health. Super Beats Heart Chews are incredibly delicious and so much better than any alternative supplements out there. I take my Super Beats Heart Chews each morning, and it's really kickstarted my morning routine. After taking my Super Beats Heart Chews, I feel like I have more energy and I'm ready to take on the day. CoQ10 generates 95% of the cellular energy your heart needs, but it can decline with age, stress, and statin use. Super Beats Heart Chews Advanced is effective and contains clinically researched ingredients from Super Beats, the #1 doctor, pharmacist, and cardiologist recommended beat brand for cardiovascular health support. Find out how you can get a free 30-day supply on bundles of new Super Beats Heart Chews Advanced and save 15% for a limited time only by going to Super Beats Radio, promo code BEAT. That's super, BEETS, radio.com, promo code BEAT, and that promo code is BEAT.
And now let's take a quick break to talk about our next partner, Roan. If you're like me, you understand the pains of finding out what to wear. Let's face it, most clothes are uncomfortable or too tight or never actually the size that you really are, and not to mention the annoyance of trying to put together a good outfit. And when you finally do have a good fit, you can only wear it for a few hours before you have an important meeting or dinner, and then you have to change. Everyone wants to dress their best and look good at all times because, frankly, it's a confidence booster. So here's the deal. Men's closets were due for a radical reinvention, and Roan stepped up to the challenge. Roan's commuter collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible set of products known to man, and here's why. Roan helps you get ready for any occasion with the commuter collection, which offers the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, and polos. You never have to worry about what to wear when you have the Roan commuter collection. Roan's comfortable 4-way stretch fabric provides breathability and flexibility that leaves you free to enjoy what life throws your way, from your commute to work to your 18 holes of golf. It's time to feel confident without the hassle. With Roan's wrinkle release technology, wrinkles disappear as you stretch and wear the products. It's that easy. With the Gold Fusion anti-odor technology, you'll be smelling fresh and clean all day long. And on top of that, Roan is 100% machine washable, so you can ditch the dry cleaner altogether. I absolutely love Roan. This has truly become my go-to commuter fit. We're on the move a lot, whether it's jumping from meeting to meeting or catching a flight or an important dinner. The Roan commuter collection has never let me down. The versatility and overall comfort of the collection is undefeated. And even after I wear it all day, I still feel super fresh because of that Gold Fusion anti-odor technology. The commuter collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. So right now, head to roan.com/Cohen, that's Cohen, and use promo code Cohen to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/Cohen, Cohen, and use code Cohen. It's time to find your corner office. And now, back to the video.
It was good to see Jordy doing that ad read at the end, but I want exclusively Michael Cohen ad reads. There's nothing like a Cohen ad read. It just kind of jolts you awake and it's experiential when I see a Cohen ad read. I feel it's an immersive experience. And by the way, I know that Cohen really likes all the products because he talks to me about them all the time, and he would not let me post videos of these if he didn't actually use all of the products. But Cohen, I want to talk more about just how whiny MAGA is being right now. So much so that with the Hunter Biden trial taking place in federal court in Delaware for a paper violation of purchasing a firearm, apparently while the allegation is while Hunter Biden was addicted to drugs. And so what the other special counsel that was a kind of Trump special counsel utilized was Hunter Biden's book, where Hunter Biden says that he was addicted to drugs at that time. So basically they said, look, you purchased a gun then, and you didn't check the box saying that you were addicted to drugs when you purchased the firearm. And even though that's quite literally never been used before, unlike falsification of business records, which has been used many, many times before, and even though the whole MAGA Republican position is to get rid of these forms in general and everybody should have weapons of war and AR-15s, they're going after Hunter Biden for the purchase of a handgun and saying that he didn't check the box saying he was intoxicated. Anyway, look, the bottom line is that I have confidence in the jury process. And however it plays out, I'm going to respect the verdict. That's the way our system. That's the way our system works. But here is what all the MAGA Republican influencers are saying. You have this Johnny MAGA account, which Donald Trump always reposts, and now they say the Hunter Biden trial has been rigged. So they say the Hunter Biden jury has been selected, and it's comically rigged, of course. Includes 6 people directly impacted by drug addiction and a former Secret Service employee who Ashley Biden smiled at. And what they are utilizing there is a clip from Jesse Waters of Fox, where he's saying, meet the jurors, and he's saying those jurors are rigged. Cohen, all of this whining
this is so gross, Ben. It's so gross. I can't believe we're actually even engaged in this type of a conversation. The attack on the judicial system, the attack on the process, on attacks on the judges, on attacks on the jurors, on the witnesses, attacks on everybody. That's all they know how to do. It's just to keep attacking. And even after a situation like what happened, look, fellow brigaders, let me be very clear. So many people, and I love you all for your concern about whether it's my health, physical, emotional, and so on. Understand that the bullshit of MAGA doesn't stop because Donald Trump got nailed 34 out of 34 times with guilty decisions, a determination of guilt by the juror in the 34 counts. It doesn't stop. So you may have heard that now I've gotten doxxed, not just me, but my wife and my children. What they do is they punish you day in and day out. So yeah, the country, the world, those who dislike Donald for good reason, by the way, are happy that he has been held accountable. That doesn't stop the pain that keeps getting inflicted on me and my family day in and day out, day in and day out by these MAGA assholes who just constantly are trying to find ways to hurt you, to make it known that if you do something which is injurious to Donald von Schitzenpants, they are going to make you pay for it. This doxing shit is real, all right? It's not just the phone calls. It's not just the vile texts and emails or the sending of food to my home at all hours. It's not that. They did it again today. They're only hurting the local restaurants. Like they send Domino's chicken wings. I've never had a piece of chicken in my life, so they clearly know that. So they send it there and they don't pay for it up front. So now the restaurant is losing money because they not only did they send it out, but they also had to prepare the food. And I'm not buying it. First of all, I wouldn't eat it in the first place. They did it with pizzas last night. And then the vile comments that come, the hateful. So I have the FBI now involved in it. I contacted my local precinct so that they know my bigger fear is not about so much the doxing as much as it is about the swatting, because that comes next. So I put the precinct on notice, my local precinct, that I promise you 30 years I'm married to my wife. There's no issue in our marriage. My children are fine. If anything comes up where somebody claims that there's an issue in regard to my address with my apartment number and so on, here's my cell number. Here's my wife's cell number. Here are my children's cell numbers. Just call us and you'll understand that there's absolutely nothing on. It's swatting, that this is all part of this MAGA cult behavior. This is not normal. It's just not normal. And understand that this doesn't allow me to try to decompress from the 6 years of pain that this man has and his administration, like the Bill Barrs of the world, have put me through. All right. They don't care. This is a message. They already know that I got him. All right. Not only is he now, as a result of my testimony, a felon. And when I say mine, I don't want to say mine as meaning just me and me alone. There were 20 prosecutorial witnesses, and all of our testimony corroborated each other's testimony, plus the hundreds of pages of documentary evidence, all corroborated again. The statements, I was, as I like to say, I was the narrator of the story. The same narration of a story that ultimately led to the New York Attorney General with Judge Engoron deciding that Trump was guilty of that as well, to the tune of $500 million now. So he's civilly liable, he's criminally liable, he's liable as well civilly to E. Jean Carroll. This is not what we should be looking for in a future president. And the fact that the Republican Party cannot extricate this cancer from one of our two political parties, it's amazing. And how about the fact, let me just go into a rant here for a second. I apologize, but it's important. He lies every single time he opens his mouth. Could you imagine? He's sitting there, again, Fox News, he's out there lying that he never said in regard to Hillary Clinton, lock her up. He never said it. It wasn't me. It was the crowd. So what do? They show one clip, like what we do here on Political Beatdown. They show one clip after another, and another and another and another, and then another, and so on and so forth. He lies every time he opens up his mouth. That's how you know he's lying. His lips are moving. And this is crazy that, again, that there's even a race here. How could there even be a race? You got a guy who's criminally liable, civilly liable. He's been held accountable for civil rape. You know, I mean, this guy is just not who America should want as its leader. And it blows my mind. It blows my mind that you have people, Republican and Democrats alike, that say, yeah, but Joe Biden, right? What about Hunter Biden? Let me be very clear, my friends. And this is the answer that we have to say. Hunter Biden's not running for president, okay? He's not. And I'll tell you something, too. If Hunter Biden is by chance found guilty and ordered to do prison time, I guarantee you Joe Biden is not going to pardon him. He's going to turn around and let him do his time because Joe Biden respects the rule of law. Now I'd like to see people start looking into Trump's kids. Why don't you look into the $2.5 billion that Jared Kushner went ahead and got, or the $640 million that was made by Ivanka and Jared during their time in the White House as senior advisors, or some of the things that Don Jr. has done or Eric Trump has done. Why don't they start looking into these kids too? I mean, is that really what we're supposed to? Or Lara Trump, with the way that she's handling the Republican National Committee, the fact that they're paying people off like Boris Epstein, the fucking lapdog that he is? Could you imagine this? They are all fucking dirty. They're dirty, and all they know how to do is use their megaphone, and they have a big megaphone. Use it in order to hurt people, like me, every single day. They're angry because I told the truth. They're angry that their daddy, and them, of course, by proxy, as the scion, they're angry that their company has been held responsible, that the dad is going to have to pay, the company is going to have to pay $500 million. They're angry that he has to pay plus this $98 million to E. Jean Carroll. They're angry that he's looking at the repercussions of 34 out of 34 criminal convictions. All right. They're angry about it. And so they need to take it out on somebody. And they don't want this continuing. There's 3 more cases coming down the road. They don't want anybody testifying against Donald. And how do you do that? You show the pain and the suffering that a witness is going to go through if you go to the other side, like I did. And that's called obstruction of justice. It's called witness tampering. And each and every one of them should be held accountable.
Cohen, it wasn't so long ago where that trial before Justice Engoron was held, the civil fraud trial. It was a bench trial, meaning it was just before Justice Engoron, not a jury. And I recall every day Donald Trump and his lawyers, Alina Habba, would whine, no, this wasn't about checking the box. We were deprived of a jury. And had we had a jury here in the civil fraud trial, this would come out very, very different. We wanted a jury. We were deprived of that right here. And then in the criminal case, they get the jury. Oh, the jury's rigged. It's all rigged. While Donald Trump is saying at the same time, New York is going to turn red. Have you seen the crowds outside? There are so many Trump supporters there. But yet the jury's rigged, but all of your supporters are also outside, and there's a line that goes and stretches for miles, according to you. But right, Cohen, wasn't their whole thing? If we just got a jury, it would come out differently. Well, you got a jury. Not only did you get a jury, the Trump organization got a jury in the other criminal case, and that jury found Donald Trump's organization, the Trump organization, guilty of tax fraud. You got a jury in the first E. Jean Carroll case. You got a jury in the second E. Jean Carroll case. Jury, 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 jury. and you were found liable or guilty in each of the 4 recent jury trials, and you were also found civilly liable before Justice Engoron here. So I think that's worth mentioning because their talking points don't even make sense. And let me show you the most recent one right here. This is now what Fox is saying. And Fox is such a plague on our country, as are all this right-wing media, and frankly, lots of corporate media for spewing this propaganda. Now they say the appeals court is rigged. I mean, just think you're Mr. and Mrs. Magadonia. You think you're watching the news, but you're getting North Korea propaganda, basically, style propaganda, beamed into your living room, and you're just being blatantly lied to tear to shreds our system from an adjudicated sexual assaulter. This is what Fox is going with now. The appeals court is rigged. So the same way the jury was, the judge was, now the appeals court is. So don't expect Donald Trump to win there because they're all Democratic operatives as well. Here's what Fox is saying. Let's play this clip.
Of the 21, all but one was appointed by a Democratic New York governor. And a review of federal and state campaign records show at least 14 of the 21 justices gave campaign contributions to Democratic politicians, Democratic committees, or clubhouses in the past before they were appointed to this court, but even while they were serving as judges in lower courts. The newest judge appointed here is Justice Marcia Michael. She was appointed 8 months ago by Governor Kathy Hochul. In 2014, Justice Michael ran for a New York State Assembly seat in the Bronx in the Democratic primary. She was endorsed in that race by then New York City public advocate Letitia James, who went on, of course, to become the New York State Attorney General who prosecuted Trump in the real estate fraud trial last year. Here you see Judge Michael and James at the time, 10 years ago, on the campaign stump, but Judge Michael lost that race. 2 months ago, it was Judge Michael who ruled against Trump when his lawyers tried to stop Judge Juan Merchan's trial from starting just days before opening statements. Another justice here, Ellen Gessmer, gave thousands of dollars of campaign contributions to Democrats before she took the bench. Federal Election Commission records show she gave $2,000 to Senator Chuck Schumer's campaign in 1998 and to Hillary Clinton's 2000 New York Senate race, $1,725. She gave $250 to Howard Dean's presidential campaign in 2003 and $1,700 to Democratic campaign committees.
I mean, just the content.
$1,700, $2,000. I mean, come on. And that's Eric Shawn. He's actually a pretty decent guy. I've known him a long time at Fox News. Seriously? Oh, my God. He gave $1,715, and 10 years ago, the two of them had a cup of coffee together, and I mean, the whole thing is this. It's as crazy as when you see Donald Trump waving to these fake crowds, right? So, Ben, here, watch. I'm going to do it too, right? I mean, how ridiculous is this?
Cohen, can I show that video? We've got that. Let me show you over the weekend, Donald Trump leaving Trump Tower, filming a propaganda video, but the cameras were on the wrong side. So you can see that he's waving to nobody while they're making this video. Here, let's play this video.
See you later.
Thank you all. Thank you all. I truly appreciate everybody coming here. I mean, to watch me live in my home as I'm here on Political Beatdown with my buddy Ben Meiselas. Thank you all so very, very much. I know. Thank you. No, thank you, Ben. I mean, this guy is so full of shit. It's like, and then did you see with the press conference, half those people, I recognize them. They work in the building. I mean, it is truly amazing the fact that he literally believes that everybody is stupid, that he could pull the wool over everybody's eyes, day in and day out. But, look, now that I'm back, certainly not going to forget about the 2-finger salute. That's going to go to the people who are doxing me and my family. Fuck you all when I find out who you are. All right. And we will ultimately find out who you are some way or another. The FBI is on it. Police are watching. I'll put private people on it. I will figure out who you are, and I will 100% to the fullest extent of the law. We will come after you with everything that we got. Plain and simple. I have absolutely had enough of the attacks on myself, the attacks on my family. That's exactly what they are. They are cowards. Cowards. This has got to be the stupidest thing in the world. This isn't like when you're a kid and you make a phony phone call. Mom, I need your help. Mom, oh my God, who is this? Mom, right? I mean, this isn't funny. They're sending police to people's homes. That's called swatting. They're calling in the middle of the night. They're texting the most vile things, to me, to my wife, to my children. Seriously? Seriously? This is what we've become because of political discourse? You don't like the fact that your guy is being held accountable for the first time? Well, I should say the first, because Eugene and the New York AG, he's being held accountable for a crime. I should now have all my personal information put out onto the dark web? Come on. Fuck you.
I remember Donald Trump saying that if only he was not at the criminal trial, he would be campaigning. But Friday golf, Saturday golf, Sunday he golfed, Monday he golfed, and he's out golfing again. I mean, look, his whole golfing thing is very weird. I mean, that's a lot of time to be. I get that golfing's, fun, and I get people can have hobbies, but like, there's something pathological about the sheer amount of times the guy is actually playing golfing every single minute of every single day. But there was Cohen's two-finger salute. Michael Cohen, we are going to have an exclusive Zoom meeting tomorrow morning, but you got to sign up now, all brigaders, to meet Michael Cohen. If you ever wanted to meet Michael Cohen on a Zoom chat exclusive to our Patreon members, right now, this moment, go to patreon.com/political beatdown. One more time, you could write it down. patreon.com/political beatdown. Subscribe. Tomorrow morning, we will hold our Zoom meeting. Ask Michael Cohen whatever you want to ask him. He's free to talk about the criminal trial now. What an opportunity for you to kind of live that history and get to meet Michael Cohen and ask him those questions tomorrow. We're going to post that secret link in an hour or two. So what you'll do is you'll subscribe to Patreon, then you'll check back, you'll look at the feed, and then you'll see the secret link. And now look, we're not trying to gatekeep things. We're trying to grow this platform, and we don't have outside investors. So we do a ton of things for free here, and most of the stuff we do is for free here, thanks to our pro-democracy sponsors. But we want to find some creative way to grow the platform in the absence of outside investors. So one of the ways we do that is through our Patreon. So patreon.com/political beatdown. Meet Michael Cohen tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. We'll both be there. You can ask Michael Cohen your questions. Michael Cohen is back. Also, store.midastouch.com. Get the official Mar-a-Lardo Correctional Facility shirt that was featured as an exhibit thanks to Donald Trump's awful lawyer, Todd Blanche, and his cross-examination of Michael Cohen. Store.midastouch.com. Do not get the fakes. Do not get the ripoffs. Go to the source. Store.midastouch.com. Make sure you check out Mea Culpa podcast. Subscribe on audio to the Mea Culpa Blue.
Please do that right now.
Norm Eisen will be Michael Cohen's first guest. He was there every day in the trial. What an incredible conversation that is going to be. Subscribe now and keep checking back on the Midas Touch YouTube feed. We've got new breaking news stories, like we just dropped a story about President Biden's powerful speech that he gave moments ago as well. I know lots of people say, you cover all the Trump, cover Biden stuff. All right. We covered it. So now go right now on the feed and play the video of President Biden's speech and spread that. That video just dropped. So once this ends, go there as well. One more time, patreon.com/political beatdown. Michael Cohen is back. So great to have you back, Michael Cohen. And really, really great show. We'll see you next time, Brigaders. Shout out to the Brigaders. Shout out to the Midas Mighty.